podcast in the mix here, and that's tight ends and defenses. And we all know how we all feel about kickers, so you're on your own with the kickers out there. But tight ends and defenses are often the secret ingredients to building a successful fantasy draft itself. And this podcast, these series of podcasts would be incomplete if we did not go over our top 5 tight ends and defenses. So, with that said, James, who are your top 5 tight ends?
Well, I start with Dallas Clark as my top tight end. He is a much better tight end with Peyton Manning as the quarterback, but then again, how often have we seen Dallas Clark without Peyton Manning as the quarterback? He is always the first target. I don't care what Reggie Wayne or anybody else says. He's always the first target that Manning looks for. And between Wayne and Colley on the outside, Clark's got the middle all to himself, and he's almost always open. Nevertheless, that he can actually line up as a wide receiver, and nobody would know anything different. So Dallas Clark, just because of the numerous catches that he gets, is my top tight end. Number 2, you're going to laugh again, I'm sure, Greg. Jason Witten. If you don't believe me, I know if you've been following, you know how much I love Dallas Cowboys as far as fantasy goes. If you don't believe me on any of the other ones, believe me on Jason Witten, because Romo will look his way on every play before he looks anywhere else, because Witten is always a solid option. He's always open. So look for Jason Witten to have another big year, 5-6 catches a game usually, and normally finds one in the back of the end zone. Number 3 is where I have Antonio Gates. He's always a playmaker, and Rivers is always throwing the ball, and Gates, again, like Dallas Clark, can line up as a wide receiver and easily play wide receiver type routes and get jump balls in the end zone. Antonio Gates is a solid pick. Most have him number 1, but I like the consistency of Clark and Witten above him. Number 4, Owen Daniels. Owen Daniels is becoming an absolute force down in Houston in the new Texas type of offense. The Cowboys used to run it all the way up. Owen Daniels is just the newest ingredient in the Houston modified offense. You got Andre Johnson, who's going to take everything deep, and Owen Daniels, if I'm not mistaken, before his injury last year, he had 9 or 10 catches for 2 or 3 weeks in a row right before his injury. So Schaub looks his way often. When Johnson isn't open, Owen's getting the ball, and he's getting it, and he's running after the catch too. And rounding out my top 5 is Jermichael Finley. Again, another tight end who we've seen him line up in the backfield. We've seen him line up at wide receiver. You can literally use this guy anywhere in the field. And when you have someone like Aaron Rodgers who throws the ball as much as he does, the tight end is always the safest option. And when you have the tight end going out as often as Finley does, he's going to get his catches. So Jermichael Finley is a safe way to round out the top 5 as far as tight ends are concerned.
You know, that's just absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, because your top 3 are my top 3. And that's just in the exact same order for pretty much the same reasons that we've all talked about here. And I can't not doubt you're picking Jason Witten as that high, coming in at as number 2. Of course, having Dallas Clark at number 1, only because actually you can put any Indianapolis tight end at number 1, because when Dallas Clark was injured, the replacement had just as many receptions as Dallas Clark had.
Exactly.
When Dallas Clark is healthy, there is no better tight end out there. Just because of the system and just because of the way Peyton plays the game. There's a simpatico relationship there. I think Peyton named one of his children Dallas. I'm not sure. We'll have to double check on that one. But anyway, Jason Witten I have as a number 2 guy, to be honest with you here. I mean, this guy, I drafted him, by the way, and I'm playing you the first week, by the way, in our league with 360 Sports Network, and I'm going to use Jason Witten against you on that, just because. But yes, you're 110% correct. Jason Witten is the first look that Tony Romo gives. And Tony Romo plays that game very similar to the way Peyton Manning plays the game. So definitely I got Jason Witten coming in at number 2. And number 3 on the top 5, Antonio Gates. Only because Antonio Gates is a superbly athletic player. And he used to be a basketball player at Kent State when Kent State went to the Sweet 16, by the way. Antonio Gates, the way Philip Rivers loves to throw that ball around and spread that ball out, Antonio Gates is going to be a points machine. And he gets a tremendous amount of yak with his athleticism out there. So I have Antonio Gates coming in at number 3. Number 4 is where we kind of differ on some things here. I got Jimmy Graham, only because of the way he was a former basketball player. And watching the preseason games and watching how he basically has assumed the role that Shockey has left when Shockey went down to Carolina, Jimmy Graham is going to, he plays the game as a young Antonio Gates. And he's definitely going to be, he's Drew Brees, somewhat the same type of quarterback that or maybe I should say Philip Rivers is more the same type of quarterback that Drew Brees is. Let's put it that way. They both came out of the San Diego system. Jimmy Graham is going to put up some tremendous numbers. Drew Brees is definitely going to have an outlet there with him. I've seen him in action. I've seen what he's been doing there for the New Orleans offense. Great things are going to happen. Draft this guy in confidence. And don't be surprised if this guy kind of goes unnoticed because he's so new to the scene. But he's definitely a guy that you can pick up, I think, in the 6th or 7th or even 8th round and have a top 5 tight end. And, of course, coming in at number 5, Jermichael Finley, only because Aaron Rodgers has relied on him so much. And, of course, we all saw how the Packers were so successful this past year. Expect more of the same. And the Packers right now are in midseason form. Jermichael Finley will get the catches, and he will have those points for you. Draft Jermichael Finley with confidence that he will put some big-time points on the board for you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about defenses right now, because that other secret ingredient, other than tight ends, and having a good tight end can definitely help win close games, no doubt about it. If you don't happen to get a great tight end, don't panic. But you want to basically try to position yourself in such a way where you can get one of these top 5. Any one of these top 5 are going to put some big-time points up there for you. So it's definitely a position that can make or break you, can get you into a playoffs, and sometimes, and most of the time, can help you win your league's championship.
Yeah, Greg, there's such a big drop-off after this top 5 or 6 that's why I feel you got to try. You might not want to be the first tight end. You don't want to be that guy who picks them too early type thing. But as soon as one goes, and we saw this in our draft, one tight end went, and within the next 7 or 8 picks, the next 4 or 5 tight ends were off the board. You get a quick run on them, so you got to be ready for it as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as somebody pulled the trigger on Dallas Clark, and it was getting to be in the I think it was like the 5th round of the draft, and Dallas Clark went. I'm like, okay, I've waited long enough because once people start getting the notion, oh yeah, it's time for tight ends, it's time to move, and you got to move quickly because you can get shut out because there is a tremendous drop off in talent there. Let's talk defenses though. James, who are your top 5 defenses right now coming into this football season?
I have Pittsburgh as my top defense. They are always strong play. Dick LeBeau and his linebackers are always going to put up great numbers for you. Not to mention you get the good stuff of a lot of interceptions, a lot of sacks from people like Lamar Woodley and James Harrison. So you're going to get good points out of Pittsburgh, and they're not going to allow many points. So you're going to get a good amount of fantasy points. And to me, get one of these get either Pittsburgh first or I have Philadelphia at number 2. Get one of those two. If you can get one of them, great. Otherwise, wait and play the matchup game beyond it. Because Philadelphia is also a great pick because of their additions, and especially in a DST where you get kick return, punt returns too. Deshaun Jackson's there. He's going to get you points for that, and he's going to take a couple back to the house at one point. So Pittsburgh, Philly, go with the Keystone early. If not, wait on the rest of these and play the matchups. But number 3, I have Green Bay. You don't make it to the Super Bowl by accident, and their pass defense is just unbelievable. So I have to have them at number 3. Number 4, New York Jets. And you can't say enough about a Rex Ryan defense. I could talk here for about the next 20 minutes about them. So just the New York Jets have improved each year on defense since the Rex Ryan age, and I don't expect that to change at all. And then number 5, the newest addition because of what they did the other night. I was high on them to begin the year, and now I'm looking at them as one of the elite defenses this year, and that is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions defense made Tom Brady look like an absolute fool this past weekend. And I was expecting them to have a good year with the addition of Nick Fairley and a couple new linebackers and new guys in the secondary. They already had a solid defense from last year, but they improved it. And I'll tell you what they did to Brady, he was on his back every other play, at least one interception, a lot of bad throws. I could not believe it. I knew they'd be good. I didn't think it'd be this good. Take them with confidence, and again, play the matchup still. If they're playing, honestly, if they're playing New England again, I wouldn't take them for that week. I'd rather play a matchup. But seeing what they did, I'll take them almost any other week against any other team.
Wow, the Detroit Lions, a team that's been perpetually rebuilding since 1957. Wow. You heard it first. Dotson's got him in the top 5. Well, I think we're in agreement here. Number 1, definitely Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has just so many weapons, and they're so deep in the defense right now. Their cornerback, Butler, Saturday night had a beautiful 95-yard run for a touchdown there off of the interception off of, granted, it wasn't off of Matty Ice. It was off of the second-string quarterback down there. But nonetheless, the level of play from your linebackers to your free safeties to your corners, this team has it together. The only thing I worry about Pittsburgh, though, is they do give up. And this is, maybe I'm being a little overly critical here, but they have given up a few too many yards in the middle. And when I say in the middle of the field, between the red zones, they have a tendency to allow quarterbacks to pass on them a little bit. And if you looked at the stat line of the Atlanta game versus Pittsburgh there, Atlanta outpassed Pittsburgh, possibly because of some fantastic receivers in Julio Jones and Roddy White, and of course the play of Matty Ice. But Pittsburgh has a tendency to allow teams to pass on them a little bit, and but still, with the corners and the safeties, even with them in a little bit in question, they're still the number 1 run stop and the number 1 defense overall, especially when you get points for sacks.
Well, Greg, that's just about all the time that we have today. We've hopefully given you some great information that you can take home for your draft on tight ends and defenses today. As for kickers, my advice is if you are allowed to stay out of drafting a kicker, then do so. Some commissioners force you to fill your entire roster. I'd rather take an extra position player and pick up a kicker last minute because they're all pretty much the same. You're not going to have more than 1 or 2 points difference between a top tier and a bottom tier kicker. And it's all luck of the draw. So don't worry about them. But Greg, it's been fun. I know we have to play each other week 1 in our league. And I have Chris Johnson coming out of a holdout. And you have Arian Foster, who is currently injured. And we don't know if he's playing. So it should be an interesting way to start the year. But it takes more than 1 week to win a championship. So good luck to you, and good luck to all of our listeners out there. For Greg Bichero, I'm James Dotson for 3SN. Have a pleasant evening.
still gon' need to work hard. That's the way I feel. I feel like this is the way I